Hi, welcome to my journey. Okay, so now that y'all are like really interested in this occult situation, okay, and a lot of you are not interested in becoming like, ascended masters. It seems like the majority of y'all, you want to become like sages or magicians and stuff like that. And that's cool, okay? That's cool. However, you have to understand, an ascended master supersedes those people who play tricks, okay? Because you know what they say, play silly games, get silly prizes, period, right? That clarifies what they meant by that, right? Okay, so let me explain something. A lot of people want to take my place, right? They're like, you're not a real empress. I could do what you could do, right? Let me explain something. You might think that you tapping into some kind of spiritual power, right? But let's keep it real. People don't understand what it means to have all of the elements, right? Now, I've already said, and I don't like to repeat myself, but I've already said that I have all of the fixed signs in my chart. Okay? I have all of the fixed signs in my chart. And I'm a high priestess. And I have the force of the Hierophant behind me. And I have several planets that are at home in their house. Now, let's talk about what I am. Because I like to talk about me, right? And I said before, I have a stellium in Leo, right? We all know Leo is a very majestic, magnificent sign. Okay? You got to remember that. And then if there's a stellium in there, right? There's a stellium in there. It's very, very, very strong. Like the power of the sun. Times 1, times 2, times 3. Whatever it is. Because if you're a stellium, you got to have three planetary bodies in Leo. Right? And don't let it be one of the big three. Like your sun, your moon, or your ascendant. And have a stellium there. Okay? I'm telling you this because some of y'all need to know. And now, let me tell you something. Leo is a fixed sign. What? Yes, Leo is a very fixed sign. Do you know what the fixed signs are? The fixed signs are Leo. Well, let's say the first one. Taurus. Right? Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Do you know? Do you know that these people are rebellious by nature? They are. They're rebellious by nature. Right? But even though they're rebellious by nature, They also are predictable because they love stability. Okay? Now, to those bitches that think they can replace me, right? Let me tell you something. The position that I have, you're going to have to fight all of the fixed signs that are of the light, right? You are also going to have to fight all of the fixed signs that are low vibrational. Okay? Now, we all know. Let's talk about it. What's a low vibrational Taurus? What is a low vibrational Leo? What is a low vibrational Scorpio? And then, what is a low vibrational Aquarius? Okay. And when I'm saying rebellious, that means they don't like to be controlled. They don't. Right? And you're not going to be able to control them in the 3D. You're just not. You're going to have to be able to have a big spiritual strength. And you're going to have big spiritual backing. I don't mind letting y'all know this because I'm not planning to be here in this realm for very much longer. Okay? And, you know, me coming here, I came as a volunteer. I did. I came as a volunteer. I did not reincarnate to try to, you know, redeem myself. No, I came as a volunteer. Some of us, you know, we're volunteers here. Right? Other of us, they are kind of trapped here. They might feel imprisoned here. You know, they stuck here. They can't go nowhere. Okay? But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. So, to you bitches that want to take my place, you can best believe that first of all, you also have to have both masculine and feminine strength because you know you're gonna be dealing with people who don't feel like, you know, femininity deserves any power, right? They feel like femininity, they're supposed to be submissive. Okay? So, if you understand all of this, you know, please submit your application so that I can review it upon, you know, submit it spiritually. Submit your spiritual application, right? So that when I leave this realm, I can consider you when I'm in another realm and maybe even back you up on something you desire, okay? Because like I said, you know, I won't be this realm, but if you think that you can replace me in this realm or be of a similar quality in this realm, just submit your application. It's weird how some of you will sit up here and think that you can take somebody out and therefore, you automatically get their energy. No, you don't. Right? A lot of people thought that. That's why there was always a great succession of people, killing each other trying to get these positions. And they're not holding these positions but a minute. Because it's not your will that's running things. Okay? So, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because I already know that there's a bunch of fucking witches who think that they can be me better than me. Yeah, it's funny in a weird way, right? They hate me, but they want to be me, okay? And I'm like, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. For me, it's not a problem, right? Because I transmute hate. I do. I transmute all energy. And I don't get caught up in my feelings. Okay? I don't. And I know you're like, how? I'm going to tell you how. First of all, I am born at 0 degrees Gemini. Okay? 29-degree house ascendant of Taurus. Right? That means I'm cuspy. I'm neither here nor there. I'm a cuspy. I'm neither here. I'm any. I'm both, but neither. Okay? Then I have a trine. With Saturn. Right? My MC and my ascendant are trining Saturn in the house of Capricorn, which makes Capricorn dominate my ego. But my ego is really strong. Right? Because it's both Taurus and Gemini. So this is why you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And you're stupid. You're playing games that you know nothing about. Right? And I know you all were like, but how did this happen? How did this happen? Well, first of all, somebody had to give y'all the power, right? You remember that day when you just woke up and you were like, damn, I feel like I got magical powers. Somebody did that. And you were like, damn, I think I have the knowledge of esoteric, forbidden knowledge. Somebody gave you that. And I'm going to tell you why. Maybe that somebody gave you that. The reason why somebody gave you that is because this information at this time was provided to women, okay? And a man and men's, they were seeking it out, because they wanted that power, right? They wanted the power through dominating the woman. And this is the way they've always done it, right? They would convince the woman through hypnosis, through spell work, maybe through sexual, sex spells, or all of the above, right? To convince the women that the men were the ones that were going to be in power, right? And a lot of women, they bought into that, right? However, not even the patriarchy likes that. The patriarchy is like, listen, you can't be obsessed with your woman to the point where, you're not out here working every day. Because the patriarchy wants them to work every day. Right? And this is where the liberals are like, you see, they just want to enslave us. They don't want us to be happy. They don't want us to spend time with our loved ones. Listen, they are the last people that probably want to spend time with their loved ones. Even if they had all day. You can give them all day. They could be sitting in a room with you all day and still not be vulnerable enough to even feel as if you guys are sharing quality time together. It'd be like in a room with a stranger, right? Because they don't have value for the opposite sex, that being women, right? They resolve that yes, they like the sex, but they don't need to have sex with a woman. They can have sex with a man, which is why, every so often and time again, we have this undercurrent of men who will have sex with other men and say that it's love, right? But if you ask the men that they having sex with to describe the love that they're getting, you'll see it's just really a contract, a sexual contract. Oh, I can't stand these people. Bogarting me and trying to run me around here. So, yeah. I decided to get out today. Number one, I wanted to be able to tell y'all what's on my mind, right? Because, of course, right now, I have put the fixed signs under judgment. I didn't want to do it. I didn't. Right? But the fixed signs thought that I couldn't do it. I kept saying, I can. And they were like, no, you can't. And so, they kind of made me have to show them that I can put the fixed signs under judgment. I can even put the earth signs under judgment. Yes, I can. I'm the Queen of Pentacles. I have all of the earth signs in my chart. Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. But usually I don't even concentrate my energies, in my queenship, because I'm more concerned about my empress energy. Okay? I don't know. You're like, why would you be more concerned with your empress energy than your immediate environment? Because like I said, I don't plan on coming back to this earthly realm. So queenship doesn't faze me one way or another. Right? And I know some of you are like, well, certainly, nobody plans to come back, right? Listen, your actions on this earth is what determines whether or not, you're going to be back here on this earthly plane, right? Because you are a spirit. And not to mention, you are a spirit that got tempted. In earthly desires. That's how you ended up here. Out of disobedience. Wanting to do your own thing. Wanting to be your own God. Right? Because granted, there are a lot of stars out here in the universe. And a lot of these stars are ruled by certain spirits. And a lot of people will come to the earth as a training ground for them to have their own star in the universe. Not star here in this fucking place. Talking about, I want the cars, the bitches, and the money and the power. No. Anyway, hold on.